I'm asking a legitimate question here. What is going to happen to this subgenre? Hey, hi, how you doing? This is the Gamertron and welcome back to the Gamertron Show. Now I know this subgenre of first-person shooter and third-person shooter has gained some ire over the years for its repetitive overuse, let's say. For the longest time, the modern military shooter was the talk of the town, the top dog, the cool kid on the block. Everyone owned one, played one, and talked about one, whether it was Call of Duty, Battlefield, Medal of Honor, or any of their copies, clones, and knockoffs. But nowadays, the sci-fi shooter has made a huge comeback. And if we're being honest here, I honestly believe that the science fiction setting is the better, preferred, and more natural setting for a Twitch action shooter game. Don't get me wrong, games like the Call of Duty Modern Warfare series and the Battlefield Bad Company series, and to extent 3 and 4, even though I'm not a fan of those games, can show that Twitch action can work in a modern military setting. And where these games lack in specific uniqueness and creativity, they make up for in explosions and action and content. But the consistent issue with the modern military setting is that these types of games can look very, very familiar to one another. I would be lying if I didn't say there were times where I got my Call of Duties confused with my Battlefields, where I confused a screenshot or a video for one military shooter for it to actually be another. That sameness in design, in art style, going for the rough, gruff realism, it sometimes, many times as a matter of fact, unfortunately, all just blends in together. Whereas with something in the sci-fi genre, it's easier, for the most part, to distinguish yourself, distinguish your game from another. I mean, Halo looks nothing like Crysis. BioShock looks nothing like Bulletstorm. Borderlands looks nothing like Destiny. You see, the thing with sci-fi shooters is that you can create your own unique art style. And these being shooters set in science fiction universes, you can create unique weapons, unique enemies, unique locations. With the military shooter, everything has to be based on something that's somewhat realistic. You have to use the same guns in each game, you have to fight the same enemies in each game, you have to go to similar places in each game. And people were catching on to this. It's one of the big reasons the military shooter has died down as much as it has. While games like Call of Duty and Battlefield are still kicking, it's because they're Call of Duty and Battlefield, and Call of Duty has gone into the sci-fi route, while Battlefield is... I'm not sure what Battlefield's trying to do. Turn into Star Wars, maybe? Again, science fiction. And if we're honest with ourselves and we look back at the history of the video game industry, we can see that for the longest time, I don't know why publishers decide to do this oversaturation of the single genre. I mean, what did they think was going to happen? Immediate oversaturation leads to customer disinterest and a demand for something more or different. And instead of doing the smart thing and mixing it up, they kept the same games, same genres. And that's led to where we are now, where the sci-fi shooter is dominant. While I'm sure there are those individuals that are tired of shooters in general, and those individuals that are tired of sci-fi shooters, the thing about sci-fi shooters is you can get creative with them, where you can't with a World War II shooter or a modern military shooter. You can constantly and consistently change everything, from weapons to enemies to locations to the world to just what the game is built on and focused on. The sci-fi shooter subgenre just enables so much creativity that it's why what developers of shooters are turning to. Except for one dev and publisher, which I will get into very shortly. Now, in my personal opinion, I don't think the military shooter needs to disappear or go away entirely. Yes, I know this subgenre was heavily oversaturated, and I don't think it was handled in the best of ways. However, this subgenre does allow for some unique opportunities. Opportunities that I think should be explored in more cases. I don't think we should totally abandon the modern military setting for science fiction or even go back to World War II. What I think we should be paying attention to what Ubisoft has been doing the past few years. Now, I know a lot of people are pretty pissed off at Ubisoft, and I completely understand why. I am too, but they still make good games. Games such as Rainbow Six Siege, Far Cry 3 and 4, and their Ghost Recon series. Now, these games, in my opinion, are what the military shooter genre should be going for more of. A focus on tactics and strategy, the implementation of stealth, realistic, for the most part, weapon physics and bullet drop and trajectory and all that jazz. But most importantly, taking the military shooter and putting it in unique situations, and giving it unique variations. For instance, the Far Cry games. While indeed these games can be more classified as a action-adventure, in terms of genre, more action-adventure instead of modern military, I'd still, in certain aspects, classify it as modern military in terms of the weaponry being used, the enemies being fought, and all the little extra features that add to realism and immersion. However, more importantly, when it comes to the Far Cry games, the unique settings they are put in, from tropical islands to the Himalayas. These open world environments that not only provide something, well, pretty to look at, but give you the option of multiple ways to engage a situation. Speaking of which, Rainbow Six Siege. Rainbow Six Siege feels like a natural evolution of where modern military shooters should be. A fixed health bar with no regenerating health. A focus on tactics and strategy. A sense of somewhat grounded realism in the environmental destruction. Rainbow Six Siege, to me personally, feels like where modern military shooters should go, what direction they should follow. Cause in Rainbow Six Siege, I have had some of the most intense, visceral, and satisfying gameplay experiences I have ever had in a military shooter, which leads me to Ghost Recon, another Ubisoft game and military shooter. I'm specifically talking about Ghost Recon Future Soldier, which, while having minor sci-fi elements, is pretty grounded for the most part. The game can also be arcadey in some places, but again, in my opinion, I feel like that game is another great representative of how to do a military shooter, with again an emphasis on tactics and strategy, stealth overall, because you are not an action hero. You may feel like an action hero when you're taking on waves and waves of bad guys, but again, you're not. You're just as vulnerable as them. One shot to the head, down and out. So the need to use cover, the need to flank enemies, the need to not totally rely on twitch shooting at just a quick trigger finger, like the Call of Duty's Battlefields and Medal of Honors, I find creates more intense and memorable gameplay experiences. However, I'm not claiming that military shooters can never be good twitch shooters. Again, Battlefield and Call of Duty did a lot of things right. I still really enjoyed the Modern Warfare campaigns. Black Ops was a great campaign. Battlefield Bad Company 2, that was an awesome campaign too. And they were filled with action and set pieces. The games were over the top, Michael Bay-esque almost. And I think if a shooter is going to go the route of a Twitch shooter, it should go over the top like Modern Warfare and Bad Company did. That way it compensates for the generic setting. However, keep in mind, in the end, this is all just speculation and opinion. Everyone likes their military shooters different. While I still greatly enjoy some Call of Duty and Battlefield, I prefer a Rainbow Six Siege and a Ghost Recon Future Soldier. And while the sci-fi shooter did create the genre of the first-person shooter, let's not forget how it was the military shooter that brought the FPS into the mainstream. Both subgenres of first-person and third-person shooter are important to the video game industry and the culture overall. So please, let me know in the comment section, what do you think of my thoughts, feelings, and opinions on military shooters, the state they're in, and where they should go? What are your favorite military shooters? Let me know in the comment sections. Leave your thoughts, feelings, and opinions in the comment section below. I love reading comments. I'll get nearly enough comments. Please leave a comment. If you like the video in any way, shape, or form, please hit the like button. Hitting the like button helps you, helps me, helps everybody involved in the video if you hit the like button. And finally, I am the Gamertron. I love video games. I love talking about video games. If that's something that interests you, maybe consider supporting my channel by subscribing to me. Anyways, guys, this has been a video, and I will see you guys later.